got straight roots and curly ends, or maybe just a straight top layer and a curly underside? Here's why. I've actually gotten a lot of questions recently asking me how to style Irish curls, and I did not know what people were talking about because I don't spend a lot of time on TikTok, so I don't really keep up with the trends on there. Now, is this a new hair type, or is this just a name for something that already existed? And if you do happen to have Irish curls, why is it that you have them, and what can you do to style your hair? So let's get into it. So what exactly are Irish curls? It can be one of two things: hair that is straight on the top layer and curly on the underside, or it can be hair that has like straight roots and curly ends. Either one of those are referred to as Irish curls. And this is a really common pattern for people to have. So a lot of people with wavy hair will have this where their roots are straighter than their ends, or the underside is curlier than the top side. This is something that people have been emailing me about for many years, asking what can I do to make my curl pattern more even? I've got straight roots, I've got a straight top layer, how can I fix this? So a lot of people see this as a problem, as a negative, because it is inconsistent. The curls are not the same all over. You've got multiple curl patterns, which we know is normal, but when it's wavy hair and it's like almost straight to a little bit curly, it's just a little bit more jarring for some people. And it seems like a lot of people don't really like that look, or are trying to make the straight part curlier. So why does this happen? There are a couple of reasons that you can have straight and curly hair on your head at the same time. The first one is just genetics. It could be that this is just your natural hair type. You just have hair that grows straighter on some parts of your scalp, curlier in other parts, or it's straighter at the roots and curlier at the ends. It's just something that you may not have any control over. A common reason is damage. So chemical or heat damage can cause the top layer especially to appear straighter than the underside. The underside is exposed to a lot less of the elements and it's more protected, so it tends to be healthier and curlier, whereas the top side will have a lot more damage, and that can cause the curl pattern to break down and appear straighter over time. Sometimes it's just the weight of the hair. So if you have straight roots and curly ends, it could just be that your hair is heavy, and so it's pulling at the root area and it is making it straight. This could also be caused by the products. If you're using really heavy products, it could cause the top layer to be straightened. Or if you have a cut that doesn't address the fact that your hair can be heavy, if you don't have layers, it could make that happen where you've got like the really straight roots. For a lot of people, it's really just that's the way their hair is. And you kind of have to come to terms with the fact that you just have straight roots and there's not much you can do about it. So there's a couple of tricks that I'm going to talk about later in the video to help your straighter areas appear a little bit more curlier so it can look a little more uniform. But for a lot of people, if wavy is your predominant pattern, then straight roots is very normal and is part of that curl pattern. So are Irish curls really a new hair type? Well, no. As I said at the beginning of this video, this is something that people have been asking me about for many, many years. It just didn't have a name on it. So the TikTok community has put the term Irish curls onto this hair type that has been around forever. But when you put names on trends like this, it helps other people identify with it and realize that that's what they have, and maybe they can learn some new things to care for their hair and be a little bit happier with their hair type. So how do you work with Irish curls? So it really depends on the cause of your straight and curly areas, right? If you are dealing with heat damage, then you have to address that, prevent the heat damage, and use products to repair the hair. The same goes for chemical damage. If you have some chemical damage, then you have to try to reduce the process that you're doing to damage your hair. Maybe do it less often or stop altogether, and then use products that help to repair the hair, like protein treatments and deep conditioners. If it's not damaged and it's just the way that your hair happens to be, you can try a different haircut. Maybe some layers or a shorter cut overall can reduce the weight and help the top layer of your hair curl a little bit better. You could also try styling in a way that encourages more curls in the root area, in the top area. So that involves using things like root clips, very lightweight products, so things that are not heavy. You want thin, runny, clear products to style your hair. Ideally, mousses and gels are the lightest styling products. Creams, custards, those are going to be much heavier and they tend to weigh down their hair and moisturize the hair and cause the hair to straighten out a little bit. Scrunching is really, really good while you are applying your products. Diffusing, especially if you're doing side or upside down, that reduces the weight that is put in the root area and the straight areas, and the act of pushing it up in the diffuser bowl. So when you put your hair in here, it's called pixie diffusing, and you put it like that, that's going to encourage more curl formation throughout the entire length of your hair. using products that have hold. So as I mentioned, in addition to lightweight products, you want something that actually is going to hold that curl pattern. So mousses and gels, again, because those provide hold. Creams do not have hold in them. And custards and those types of products have a lot less hold because they're more moisturizing. So you want to ideally use lightweight products with hold. You could also try some manipulation techniques if it really, really bothers you. This is time consuming and it's not something that I like to do, but if it really bothers you and you really want that part of your hair to appear curlier, you can try doing things like brush styling or finger coiling. And just know that it is not going to last very long. So you can do this. You can do all these things that I just mentioned and it's gonna look really good at first. As soon as you're done styling, you're gonna have that nice spring. The curls are gonna look fairly even, but throughout the day, it's going to kind of drop out, fall out, and it will straighten out a little bit and go back to kind of like its normal look. It won't be as much if you're using all these techniques with hold and stuff. It'll be like a little bit curlier than before, but don't expect miracles. It's just not realistic. This is just a little bit that we can do. Really the only permanent thing would be to get a perm. So with that, you really need to accept the mixed texture. And this is not unique to wavy hair. Curly hair also has a variety of patterns on their head. I know I do. My hair is curlier than what you would consider wavy or Irish curls, but even I have straight roots, right? Like all of this is pretty straight, and then I have the curls starting like down here. I have some areas that will curl from the root, like around my ear and the underside, but I have definitely like a straighter top part. It doesn't go as far down as people with Irish curls. Typically they will describe it as like from here down is where the curl starts. So it's a much wavier pattern. But yeah, I've got some really springy like 2B, 2C, 3A curls, and I've got some more really tighter curls on the inside here, and I've got some other like stretched out that are more like a 2B curl pattern. So it's normal for even people who have curly and coily hair to have a variety of curl patterns on their head. So if you have wavy hair, because it's lower on that spectrum of curly, you're closer to straight hair, you're gonna have some straight parts, and that's just something that you have to accept and deal with. So this Irish curls trend is just proof that diversity in hair is being accepted now more than ever, which is a great thing. But at the end of the day, it's just another natural variation of wavy and curly hair. So instead of chasing a trend and trying to define your hair and put it in a box of this is my hair type, really it doesn't matter. Just do what works for your hair. So if you have hair that kind of identifies with these things of Irish curls, you can try some of the things that I talked about in this video and see if that works for you. Remember to keep in mind that what you choose to style your hair, the products and the processes, the styling techniques depend on a lot more than just the curl pattern you have. You have to take into account the texture of your hair, the porosity of your hair, how much hair you have, the density, the weather around you. All of these things are going to affect what works on your hair. So do keep that in mind overall and pair that with the information that I provided in this video. So let me know if you have Irish curls in the comments, what works for you, what doesn't work. Maybe we can help each other out in the comments below. And if you have Irish curls or any curl type and you have really been struggling with figuring out what works for your hair and doing all the things, then you're going to want to watch this video next. It's called Curly Hair Lies You Should Stop Believing and What to Do Instead. And I talk about all the really popular advice in the curly hair community that really is working against you and causing a lot of the problems that you may be having. Things like the curly girl method and using as many products as possible to get defined curls.